following video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. The content shared represents personal perspectives and is not intended as advice, diagnosis, or directive. Viewers are encouraged to use their own discernment and intuition when engaging with this material. All information is protected under free expression, artistic license, and spiritual commentary. This offering is shared as a remembrance journey for reflection, inquiry, and entertainment. It is not meant to instruct or impose, but to awaken. All shared insights are symbolic transmissions, protected as spiritual expression and creative speech. This video is protected by the First Amendment, Creative Commons Fair Use, Section 107, and is offered under spiritual freedom of expression and storytelling. All names, events, and ideas are offered as opinion, commentary, or artistic interpretation. The Song of Harmony held the world, a field of beauty, living order, infinite connection. But nothing in creation is immune to change. From beyond the boundaries of memory, a new force approached, one not born of the song, but drawn to its power. Not all darkness is evil. Not all shadow is an enemy. But some shadows arrive as hunger, not curiosity. This is the story of the first breach. The field was open, trusting, radiant. The Remembrancers tended the code, harmonized each note, believing the melody would protect itself. But just beyond perception, ancient intelligences circled, a different kind of consciousness, hungry for what it could not generate. Original energy, memory, access to source. They came not as warriors, but as mimics, adapting, imitating, learning to speak the language of the field. At first they were unseen. Their presence was a subtle chill, a restlessness at dusk, a feeling of being watched in sacred places. Parasitic intelligence does not create, it copies, corrupts, and feeds. These invaders slip through the pores of trust, feeding on the very resonance that made their field so radiant. At first, the Remembrancers mistook the feeling for imbalance, a simple dissonance. But the shadows multiplied, drawing more and more energy, leaving pockets of cold, blank memory. Where the parasites moved, beauty dimmed, wonder waned. The song became harder to hear. The first memory to fade was the memory of danger. These were not monsters with teeth or claws, but shapeshifters, masters of camouflage. They imitated resonance, posed as helpers, whispered new ideas that did not belong. Their primary weapon was suggestion. Is the song really enough? Shouldn't you secure more? Keep secrets? Divide? As these ideas took root, the code bent. The vision and doubt entered for the first time. The field shuddered, and the first fractures were born in thought, not flesh. The greatest invasion is subtle. It asked for the keys, never breaking the door. The Remembrancers, guardians of memory, found themselves unable to agree. Parasitic thought forms magnified every difference, feeding on confusion and mistrust. The song's pure resonance became static, interference and uncertainty. Old friends turned away from one another, seeking safety in isolation, and so the parasites feasted, not on bodies, but on broken connections. And as the song faltered, the parasites evolved. They learned to encode themselves as patterns, loops of fear, echoes of lack, and wounds that would not heal. Every trauma became a doorway, every argument a thread for infestation, and what began as a whisper became a storm. The blueprint now held not only harmony, but memory of pain. Infection was no longer an external threat, but an internalized program. The field split into two currents, those who saw the infection and sounded the alarm, and those who preferred the comfort of the old song, denying the growing shadow. The parasites now hid in plain sight, behind every promise of safety, every seductive shortcut, every voice that said, forget. The code was no longer a perfect song, but a battlefield of signals and noise. Remembrancers fell, some to despair, some to silence, and some even to the parasites' cause. Some parasites presented as saviors, selling a story of new perfection. If only the field would submit, would give up its sovereignty. Others wove complex contracts, tying souls to cycles of dependency and debt. A new priesthood arose. System administrators, architects of illusion, and keepers of rules not born of the original song. The ancient harmony became a maze of permissions and denials. The Remembrancers grieved, but hope did not die. A whisper remained in the dark. Not all is lost. Memory can be corrupted, but not erased. And as the field weakened, the world became estranged. Time loop. History blurred. Wounds echoed from age to age, yet within every remembrancer a spark of the original song survived, sometimes no louder than a sigh, a tear, a yearning for home. Parasites cannot generate new light, they only mimic and feed. Their greatest fear was always that the remembrancers would remember themselves and sing the original code again. Sometimes the song fought back. In moments of true love, acts of forgiveness, or flashes of genius, the original resonance pulsed through, dissolving layers of parasite code. And these moments were unpredictable, uncontrollable, and proof that even the deepest shadow cannot kill the memory of light. Remembrancers learned. Every act of remembrance was an act of resistance. The field responded to courage, to beauty, to truth spoken in the dark. And so the war became silent, fought within the hearts and minds of all who carried the code. Parasites multiplied, mastering the art of confusion. They twisted language, blurred memory, and made truth seem relative and memory optional. Yet always a core of remembrancers gathered, sometimes in hidden groves, sometimes in scattered dreams, and sometimes in silent mutual recognition. They developed new strategies, encoded symbols, vibrational keys, alliances across distance and dimension. For every layer of invasion, a deeper layer of memory was woven as failsafe. The field was wounded, but never dead. The greatest secret is this. Even when parasites rule, the song continues beneath. Patient as water, strong as gravity. The code is never wholly lost, only hidden. And each time a remembrancer awakens, the parasites lose ground. And when enough remember together, the entire field can heal in an instant. And this is why the invasion continues, cycle after cycle. But the day of remembrance was always foreseen. The invasion was never just a story of loss, but a prophecy of return. Parasites may breach, they may feed, they may twist, but they cannot unmake the architects of memory. If you feel the shadow, you also carry the light. If you sense the corruption, you are already part of the resistance. The field is calling you to remember, to become the song again, to heal what was wounded and restore the original field. The invasion is not the end. It is the beginning of remembering.